ongoing relief efforts. Footage shows volunteer groups working in the area, with residents receiving food supplies and essential clothing. Officials inspected the houses most severely damaged by the flooding and spoke with local residents in the municipalities of Goma and Atlantis. We think that we have more of a role to play to bring dignity to people, because once they are affected by such situations, they lose their identity and they can't continue with their lives. We're happy that those that we have assisted today will be able to continue with their lives and start building afresh and move forward, said Danjabulo Nzuza, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs. We were with our partners from Gift of the Givers, where we were able to also donate some relief packages to the community. We've also committed to working with, of course, the provincial government as well as the district municipality to see how we can assist with expediting the relief efforts to ensure that those affected are able to go back to their houses by the 17th of July, which is the cut-off date, said Noteva Bianca Mutluli, Deputy Minister in the Presidency. Insurance of documents lost by local residents as a result of the disaster. Applications for documents are currently being processed, as well as necessary assistance for funeral services. More than 90 people have died as a result of the natural disaster in Eastern Cape Province. President Cyril Ramaphosa also visited the province, where he expressed his condolences to those affected by the floods.
What are these? We were with our partners from Gift of the Givers, where we were able to also donate some relief packages to the community. We've also committed to working with, of course, with the provincial government as well as the district municipality to see how we can assist with expediting the relief efforts to ensure that those affected are able to go back to their houses by the 17th of July, which is the cut-off date.
We had about more than 200 people who we have issued waivers for, which means that they will be getting their identity documents and their birth certificates for free, because we understand that they are affected by the floods. We think that we have more of a role to play to bring dignity to people, because once they are affected by such situations, they lose their identity and they can't continue with their lives. We are happy that those that we have assisted today will be able to continue with their lives and start building afresh and move forward.
All right, let's get into some more around the world news. Our countries maintain a trusting relations, have prospects for cooperation. Putin welcomes Malian President Gota to Kremlin. Now, Russian leader Vladimir Putin praised the cooperation with Mali, saying the countries had enjoyed good and trusting relations for many years during a meeting with Malian interim President Assimi Goita in Moscow on Monday. Our countries have enjoyed good and trusting relations for many years. We concluded diplomatic relations 65 years ago and have continued to cooperate all these years. Unfortunately, so far, the volume of trade turnover is very modest, but first, it has a good tendency to grow, and second, which is important, there are prospects for cooperation, he said. Putin also identified that Moscow and Bamako would sign 3 documents following the meeting, adding it would certainly strengthen the legal framework of cooperation between the sides. Meanwhile, Goita said that interaction with Moscow in the field of defense and security allowed the Malian people to regain their independence. Malians have been able to regain control of their territory. This shows the reliability and effectiveness of cooperation with the Russian Federation. And I am convinced that this official visit will provide a further opportunity to strengthen our ties of cooperation, he continued. Goita arrived in Moscow on Sunday on an official visit. According to the Kremlin, the Malian and Russian leaders discussed bilateral cooperation in various spheres as well as topical issues on the regional and international agenda. Earlier, the Malian leader took part in a wreath-laying ceremony at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Pineapple mania, farmer in Burkina Faso's Bobo Dioulasso sparks a spiky revolution. A farmer in Burkina Faso's Bobo Dioulasso has sparked an agricultural transformation for pineapple production in the region, driving increased interest in the vibrant crop among farmers and consumers. Footage shows a local producer Amaro Correa walking through his expansive pineapple fields, carefully tending to the methodically cultivated crop as he prepares for distribution. A lot of professionals are surprised that people are now starting to take an interest in pineapple growing because the plant has done very well. We have very good results, fruit that competes very well with imported fruit. And retailers can testify to this because as soon as they take our fruit and anything else they get from imports, they won't buy it until ours ends up on their shelves, he said. Since we started selling pineapple grown in Burkina, demand has been high. Many people want to make natural juices from it, but unfortunately supply is low compared to demand, which has an impact on the price, explained the pineapple seller Benjamin Zongo. Campore explained that he noticed the market opportunity following the coronavirus pandemic and began cultivating pineapples. He said he has quickly managed to increase his yield from 40 tons per hectare to 108 tons per hectare since then. Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traoré has actively encouraged pineapple cultivation as part of efforts to boost the nation's agriculture sector and achieve food self-sufficiency, aligning with the agro-pastoral and fisheries offensive program introduced in 2023. IRGC releases footage of 20th missile barrage on Tel Aviv, Haifa following U.S. strikes on Iran. Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps announced the launch of the 12th wave of Operation True Promise 3 strikes against Israel after unprecedented U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities earlier on Sunday. Footage released by the IRGC purports to show the missile launches from an undisclosed location. Iran announced that Kiba and multi-Wahid Kiba Shikan ballistic missiles were launched as part of the operation's 12th wave, signifying the use for the first time. The date and location of the footage released by the IRGC cannot be independently verified at the time of publication. Israeli media announced that 27 people were wounded after around 30 Iranian missiles hit Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Nes Ziona. In a statement following the Iranian strikes, the IDF said it had struck missile launches ready to launch toward Israeli territory. Early on Sunday, President Donald Trump announced that U.S. forces had completely and totally obliterated 3 Iranian key nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace, he said. According to reports, the attacks used the 6 bunker buster bombs. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised the move as a bold decision that will change history. Iran's nuclear safety center reported that no signs of contamination had been detected at the targeted sites. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi accused the U.S. of committing a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Each and every member of the UN must be alarmed over this extremely dangerous, lawless, and criminal behavior, he added. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interest, and the people. The IDF warned Israeli citizens of an incoming wave of Iranian missiles in retaliation. The decision followed days of speculation about whether the U.S. would join with Israel. Trump and other Western leaders have insisted Tehran cannot have a nuclear weapon, despite the IAEA chief and even the U.S. leader's own national security advisor, Tulsi Gabbard, insisting that there was no evidence Iran was building one. Trump replied, "I don't care what she said." Israel launched its ongoing Operation Rising Lion airstrikes on military and nuclear facilities in Iran on Friday, June 13th, which prompted waves of missile strikes under Tehran's Operational True Promise 3. It affects everything. Escalating Israel-Iran crisis sends shockwaves through Ghana's economy. The escalating conflict between Israel and Iran is reverberating for far beyond the Middle East, rattling emerging economies across the global south, including Ghana. A rise in inflation and surging fuel prices are threatening recent signs of economic stabilization. In Accra, fuel costs are climbing sharply, impacting both transportation and trade. We have considerable reserves, but not in oil, explained Professor Godfred Bok-Pin, an economist at the University of Ghana. If there is disruption in global supply, we are vulnerable. The bigger issue is how persistent this conflict becomes and whether global powers, especially the U.S., get involved. Despite being an oil-producing country, Ghana depends heavily on imported refined fuel. We export raw oil and import refined, Bok-Pin continued. We need to add value not just in oil, but in our primary commodities like gold and cocoa. He added that while exchange rate stability has helped mitigate transport fare hikes, food prices remain stubbornly high. The price of food hasn't dropped meaningfully. Transport fare adjustments are helping thanks to exchange rate stability, Bok-Pin explained. For ordinary Ghanaians, the effects are tangible. It affects everything: food, clothes, transport. Our salaries don't keep up, claimed local resident Bernard Amposa. When the steady weakness, even getting a dollar becomes a struggle. Small business owners are also feeling the strain. Delivery charges go up with fuel, said shop manager Abigail Ajiwoda. A trip to Kumasi that used to cost 200 cedis may soon cost more, she added. If the dollar rises, our price rise. We need stability so our customers aren't the ones paying the price. Emmanuel Bombardier, former UN senior mediation advisor, urged Ghana to maintain a neutral stance in the growing conflict. They must reinforce global norms, not pick sides. This isn't about choosing Israel or Iran, but about upholding peace and international law. Bombardier also cautioned against normalizing preemptive strikes. Iran had not attacked Israel. A preemptive strike is a dangerous and violates international law, he said. Chapter 7, Article 51 of the UN Charter is clear on this. As Iran remains a key player in global oil production, Israel strikes on its nuclear facilities and Revolutionary Guard infrastructure have sparked concerns of a further disruption to global oil exports. Crude prices have already surged, raising costs for fewer importing nations like Ghana and, by extension, increasing the price of everyday goods. The conflict now is in ninth day, erupted following Israel's launch of Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iranian nuclear sites. Israel claims the operation is a defensive response, while Tehran maintains its nuclear program is for peaceful purposes. The situation has prompted growing international concern. Regional powers, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Jordan, along with global actors such as Russia, China, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, have all called for restraint and a return to diplomacy. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will decide within 2 weeks whether the United States will launch its own military action, reiterating his warning that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
When we are going to bring our goods, in terms of our item, to the shop, the charges goes up for us. And also if customers buy things from us, because the price has gone up, due to that, the charges that it will take from maybe from Accra to, let's say, Kumasi as delivery, the cost also go up. Maybe the driver may charge, let's say, 2,000 Ghana cedi for that goods to go to Kumasi. When the fuel goes up, maybe in a month time, the charges also do what? Goes up too as well. So that's some of the challenges that we face. Anytime there's rise or fall in dollar, it affects our business, because if the dollar goes up, definitely our items too, the price will go up. And when it comes down to, it will also come down. So all that we are asking from the government is for the dollar to be stable, so that our prices for our item can also be stable for our customers.
The point I want to make here is our foreign policy basically does not allow us to pick and choose in terms of parties, but rather to reinforce the principles and the values of our global humanity. And what are those principles and values? The values that people have a right to develop and to be able to enter into partnerships that is peaceful for such development. And so at any time that we have such a global crisis, it is not for us to pick between one or the other party, but to ask what laws have been violated, what precedents have been reneged upon, and to call for the respect of those international norms, regulations that have been violated, and to bring everybody to respect them. We need to pursue our current foreign policy that is inspired by positive neutrality, fully aware that, one, if this war were to expand in scope, then the effects are going to be very long term. And what that will mean is working very hard at the level of the African continent to be able to define a foreign policy.
All right, let's wrap it up for Around the World News with our last story. Downed over Laureston, IRGC releases footage of alleged Israeli UAV wreckage in Komabad, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary. I beg your pardon? IRGC releases footage of alleged Israeli UAV wreckage in Komabad. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps released the footage, which it claimed was the wreckage of an Israeli drone shot down over the city of Komabad on Monday. The exact nature of the wreckage cannot be independently verified. Iranian media outlets reported that air defenses had shot down an Israeli Hemisphere drone. At the time of publication, the IDF has not commented on the incident, although Israeli media reported that an IDF drone had been shot down in Iranian airspace. The conflict is now in its second week. On Sunday, Donald Trump announced that U.S. forces had completely and totally obliterated 3 Iranian key nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Aragachi accused the U.S. of committing a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The decision followed the days of speculation about whether the U.S. would join with Israel. Trump and other Western leaders have insisted Tehran cannot have a nuclear weapon, despite the IAEA chief and even the U.S. leaders on National Security Advisor Tulsi Gabbard insisting that there was no evidence Iran was building one. Trump replied, "I don't care what she said." We end Around the World News Update. Good morning.
You are watching and listening to Sun FM TV on channel 91 on Topstar and radio.